Pete DeBoer does not lose 3 games in a row. The Dallas Stars finish off a dominating 3-1 win over the Blackhawks in their return home.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. The Dallas Stars are now a perfect 6-0 on home ice this season after a 3-1 victory over the Chicago Blackhawks in the return home from the NHL Global Series. And yet again, Pete DeBoer does not lose a third straight game in regulation. He has not done that since he took over as head coach for the Dallas Stars. It was a dominating first 2 periods for Dallas. They had to hold on a bit towards the end, but they get the job done and they get a W here tonight. We're going to break it all down. We're going to talk about Jake Oettinger, another superb start for him. Tyler Seguin cannot be stopped right now. And we have to discuss the Stars closing out games because that will be an important trait and characteristic as the season moves along, especially when you're talking about a Winnipeg Jets team that the Stars will face on Saturday. So a jam-packed Thursday episode for you of Locked On Stars. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can bet a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. I'm able to post a post-game reaction episode for you today. I was on a bus for about 8 hours, and it was an absolute slog. But I'm happy to be here and talking Stars hockey now, and was able to catch the game on Victory Plus. And boy, it was a dominating 2 periods for the Dallas Stars. Much more like the Stars we saw for the majority of last season. And without Marchment in the lineup, he's day-to-day with a lower body injury. Dallas was forced to shuffle up some of the lines, and it produced some magic. We got to see Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnston, and Logan Stankoven, and that is just an absolute treat. They were dominating tonight. They were all over the place. Stankoven had a heck of a game himself. Of course, he finishes it off with the empty netter, but his desire and determination to not lose puck battles led to a few goals in the game, including Sam Steele's that got the scoring started. A beautiful wrist shot to beat Soderblom up high, but it's all because of the work by Stankoven, who just continues to produce points. He now has 12 points on the season. He's taken over first place in NHL rookie scoring, and he's going to be a favorite for the Calder Trophy. He may not be getting a lot of national media attention, but Logan Stankoven is as good as advertised, ladies and gentlemen, and the Calder Trophy is within his reach if he continues this. He just needs to probably score a bit more. Goals-wise, he's picking up a ton of assists. He now has 10 on the season, and of course, he gets his second of the year with his empty netter to kind of finish off the win for Dallas. But all aspects of the game, it was a complimentary win, right? You always hear the term complimentary football in the NFL about defense and offense and special teams, and that is sort of what we saw tonight with the Stars. Offense was on full display. I mean, the Blackhawks, who are playing in a back-to-back, so they weren't going to have their best legs, and Dallas took it to them. That was a great, great sign. Do not let a team come in on the back end of a back-to-back and dominate the first 10 minutes. The Stars really took it to Chicago. They didn't wait around like we sort of saw in both of those games against Florida, sort of sleepwalking their way into the game. No, they took it right to Chicago. I mean, they ended up with 40 shots on the night. They had 16 in the first period. They outshot Chicago 16-5. That sort of just tells the story of that first period, and they outshot them 13-9 in the second. I mean, they were dominating at 5-on-5. It led to 3 power plays on the night, and they had some looks. They just weren't able to convert, which has sort of been the story of the first month or so of the season. But the faceoff department, 71% in the dots. And this comes from Brian Ray, excuse me. He posted this on X. They finished 28 of 30 combined on faceoffs tonight. That was Jamie Benn and Rope Hintz. In the first 2 periods, they were 19-2 in the dots. They finished 28 of 30. Between the two of them, they only lost 2 faceoffs. 2 faceoffs. An entire game out of 30 that those two took. So, I mean, dominating in really all areas. You saw really, really hard, determined defensive plays as well. The one early in the first period, not early, it was late, I believe, on Bedard. That could have been in the second period. May have got that mixed up. But the play by Lindell to track back when Bedard was on a mini breakaway, Lindell was able to close in on him and get a stick. We saw later in the game, Miro Heiskanen track back to break up a play. Jamie Benn as well. And this is something the Stars have done really well and something we probably should highlight more. The Stars forwards are fantastic when it comes to back checking and marking offensive players, getting sticks in lanes, breaking up passes. Like, those are the details that win you games, and those are the details that will win playoff series. And it was a brilliant, brilliant display tonight. Just complimentary hockey, if we can start to throw that term around when we discuss this wonderful, wonderful sport. And we're not even really getting to the whole main event of this whole thing, and it was Jake Oettinger again. I mean, great, brilliant stuff. And it was good for him to have a big night. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the shutout since Bertuzzi scores a power play goal for Chicago. After giving up a half dozen in Florida, he needed a bounce back, and boy, he was great. And, Chicago finished with 26 shots. The expected goals against was 3.14. So, it wasn't an easy game by any stretch, but he came up with some massive, massive saves. The few in the second period where he had to fall on his back after he stopped a couple of shots, one that produced the rebound. Then he had to slide full over to his right to get to a puck. And then he was helped out by a couple of his defensemen. But I mean, Jake Oettinger just continues to be worth every penny. And look, he's going to be the X factor for the Dallas Stars this season. If he's going to be this good, his team's going to be really, really hard to beat. No matter the issues that Dallas has on the back end and some of the concerns you may have and the lack of maybe consistency with their scoring that has showed up in the postseason, in particular, the last few seasons. I mean, this is elite number one net minding from Jake Oettinger to begin this season. And you can't just gloss over what we're seeing from him to begin this year. So it's a big time win for him. A .962 save percentage in the game. He stops 25 of 26. His numbers have been really, really stinking good. He had a really tough start against the defending champs, but he picks up his it's his ninth win, or excuse me, not his ninth win, but it's what's his total now that he brought it up to. Trying to find it. Okay, he's up to 6 now, 6 wins on the year, and just a great performance from him. And he was sort of the highlight for the majority of the night, even despite Dallas dominating the first 2 periods. That third period, Chicago again was pushing just like they did before the Stars went over to Finland, and they were able to hang on for a 4-2 victory on home ice. They do the same again, and they will not see Chicago the rest of the way. So, I mean, just really, really, really good stuff all the way around. I mean, all 3 zones. You're talking about the forward trios were a lot of fun to watch, number one, but very productive. So good on the Stars for sort of throwing some things out there. They were experimenting a bit, and you may have found something, right? There was a lot of different players you could highlight in this one tonight, and we're going to do that. we're not going to just gloss over the nights of many different Stars forwards and defensemen as well that had really, really solid games. I thought Miro was fantastic. Probably his best game of the year. I know he didn't end up on the score sheet, but he was all over the place, especially on the offensive side of things, joining the rush, jumping up in plays, and, creating offense for himself and others. That's more like it. That's what we have to see from number 4 the rest of the way, because when he adds that layer to his game, adds another dimension of this offense for the Stars, makes him really, really hard to stop. And I thought the defense was really, really active and engaged, which helped Dallas earn the win tonight. It's a 3-1 win. They're 6-0 on home ice. They're now 6-1 on the season, but they haven't lost a game at the American Airlines Center. And this is a big win. This is a huge win because Winnipeg can't lose right now. They finished off the Avs tonight 1-0. So they're 13-1. 13-1. And now Dallas gets to see them on Saturday. Let's highlight, though, Tyler Seguin. We have to talk about Tyler Seguin. He's getting better, it seems like. He's getting better. And if he's healthy, he's productive, right? We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime is a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to your favorite events even easier. It filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have seat views. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you get there. They also have the lowest price guarantee, and Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. You want to get tickets to the Stars game, to a Cowboys game before the season ends. You name it, they have it on Gametime. Comedy, theater, use Gametime Picks. It filters out all the fluff, and you can get peace of mind when finding your seats to whatever event you want to go to. It takes all the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get that hunch in the middle of the game, you could check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Man, what more can we continue to say about Tyler Seguin? Feel like we have been talking about him every single episode now over the last week, partially because of his lower body injury he's dealing with, and he missed one of the games in Finland, and he wasn't a full participant in practice the whole week. But man, again, he scores an absolute beauty from the goal line. He just dusts it off and he rips it home. His shooting percentage leads the NHL right now. He has a 46% shooting percentage, and it was a beauty he scored this evening, his 6th goal of the year. Yes, 6 goals now on the campaign. And he's played in 8 games, so he just continues to light the lamp. And once again, Joe Pavelski, Matt Duchene, whoever it is, I think the Stars should just go out and sign whoever's going to turn 33 next season. Go out and sign them no matter what they've done in the past, because they're going to find a way to be as productive as maybe they ever have when they're in a Stars uniform. I don't know how Dallas does it. Maybe it's something in the water, the minerals, who knows, but it never ceases to amaze me what is happening with guys in their mid-30s. And he now has 4 goals in his last 5 games, and he's a part of the most consistent and really dominating line. And this was even without Marchment today. And this kind of leads me to another big takeaway from the game. Sam Steele. This guy has been a heck of a player for the Dallas Stars. And I feel like I shower him enough with love all the time. But boy, has he had a heck of a 2 seasons. I mean, a season now in 12 games with the Dallas Stars. Like, you think, like, why did Minnesota let this kid go? Why? I mean, he has been nothing short of great for Dallas. He gets his second goal of the night. He picks up an assist on the Seguin goal. He sort of reminds you of sort of the Joel Hanley archetype, but like a lot more productive in that way. But like, you know what you're going to get with him every single night. You just don't have to worry. You just pencil him in. And we thought last season, yeah, maybe it would be sort of a rotation with him and Dellandrea, but he just never played his way out of the lineup. He played his way into it. Pete DeBoer can't take him out. You can trust him on the penalty kill. At this point, he maybe deserves some power play time. Like seriously, what a fantastic night from him. And he's going to get a bit of an increased role depending on how long Marchment is going to be out. But at 5-on-5, he played 12 minutes. If you look at his total, he ended up with just a couple of ticks under 15, which is great, which is probably up about 3 minutes from his average on ice this season is. Yeah, he plays about just over 12:40 a night. So he's going to get some increased playing time with the injury to Marchment. And he's sort of like Dadonov. You just kind of throw him wherever. He can play center. He can play wing. He gives you some juice. And he had a really, really, really good game on top of players like Stankoven and Johnston, who were just dominating. I mean, Johnston just can't score right now. He can't catch a break. He's been held off the score sheet tonight, but I mean, he was great and brilliant in the game. I thought the Ben line in particular was one that had a big night. They ended up with 9 scoring chances on the night. They didn't end up with a goal, but I mean, 9 scoring chances, 5 of those were high danger. That sort of tells the story. Their Corsi for percentage was 77%. I mean, they were dominant every time they were on the sheet. And those are the type of performances that Dallas hasn't got enough of this season so far. It was good to see really all 4 lines kind of rolling, handing off another shift to another line in a positive direction, right? Where you weren't looking for that one line to give you a spark. It was roll all 4, roll all 6 defensemen, and just try to finish a team off, try to bury them. And Soderblom was really good for Chicago in that as well. I mean, if it wasn't for him, Dallas could have easily had 4 or 5 goals on the night. That's how dominant they really were. But they get enough, they score enough, and when your netminder's as hot as Oettinger is right now, it's pretty simple to sort of close out games. And Dallas was able to do that. Stankoven ended up grading out the highest for Dallas, 3.48 in his 18 minutes of action. He picks up a goal and an assist. Steele actually had the second best night, 3.33. Lindell was right there along with Lyubushkin, right? I mean, you continuously see Lindell and Lyubushkin grade out really well, almost game after game. So really, really solid stuff all the way around. And Jamie Bennett, actually, this was thrown out on X. He went 16-0 in the faceoff dot tonight. So don't forget about the captain as well. Thought it was a real spirited game from everybody in Victory Green, and a great performance. You need one like that. It was another long layoff coming home, and you're just itching to get back out there after sort of putting together a couple of duds, and you have that type of night. And I think that was important for the morale, important for the boost. And you don't want to go into a game on Saturday afternoon on the road against Winnipeg and drop a game to Chicago, right? A team you feel like you should beat. They're better. They're a better team. The Blackhawks are, for sure, than they were last year, but you're inferior. And Dallas showed that tonight, and they improved to 7-4-0 on the season before heading to Winnipeg on Saturday afternoon. That will be an absolute dandy, and we'll be able to talk about that game tomorrow on a Friday edition of Locked On Stars. Okay, sort of a topic I discussed quite a bit last season. Closing out games. And now with a new construction of defensive pieces, how is that going to look on a night-to-night basis? We got a bit of a glimpse of it tonight. We'll discuss in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Indeed. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. It's your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire. You need Indeed. Closing out games. A very, very important department for the Dallas Stars this season, and sort of something that has really become a calling card over the last few postseasons. You look at that Vegas series last spring, Colorado especially. When you have that 2-3 goal lead, which is never safe anymore, 2 goals especially, but 3 sort of becoming the new 2-goal lead, you have to find a way to finish off teams. And we got a bit of a glimpse of it tonight. And Chicago made a great push. And the Stars have a couple of components of this formula. They get really good goaltending, number one, and that's sort of what you have to have. And Oettinger was good down the stretch. I know he gave up the power play goal to Bertuzzi, kind of halfway through, which certainly put some jolt back into Chicago's game. But he was fantastic tonight, and you need that. Number 2 is, how are you going to defend? Can you limit chances to some of their special talented players? I thought they did that for the most part against players like Connor Bedard. Can you play the simple hockey? And we talked about this a lot last spring, where Stars were playing sort of very boring hockey, especially in that series against Colorado. They would just build that lead and just shut everything down. They just shut it down. They shrunk the rink, keep it to the outside, force teams wide, keep them from the interior. And if you get that opportunity to score, try to execute. Sometimes you're going to need that empty netter. And we saw it tonight. You'll win a couple of board battles, which you have to do. And it begun with Lyubushkin, right? Don't forget about that play that Ilya Lyubushkin and Wyatt Johnston made to spring Stankoven to get that empty netter, right? Lyubushkin collapses down. He ties up Donato. Johnston ties up Bedard. Stars win a puck battle. It pops loose. Stanky delays a bit, shovels a backhand, 180 feet, bullseye. Game's over. But Lyubushkin and Lindell are the new Hawk and Pa and Lindell from last season, right? That is the personnel that Dallas wants to go with. And I think it's perfect because Lyubushkin has been as every bit as advertised, if not better in my eyes. He's like I said, he's been the most surprising player this season for me. I love his game. He's physical, strong. He wins battles on the wall, doesn't get outplayed, doesn't get out efforted. That's not really a word, but you understand what I'm saying. He's just so good, especially on the wall in tightly contested areas. And he was a big reason why Dallas sort of shut that game down in the closing minute. Chicago got a few looks away on the 6-on-5 from outside the circles. Oettinger was forced to make a couple of saves, but when it came down to it, Lyubushkin, along with Wyatt Johnston combined, they shut down the attack and they get the empty netter, and then it's good night. You'll walk away with 2 points. And, that was something I felt like the Stars really had to learn last season. It sort of took them a while to get there. They weren't really flawless with closing out games until Tanev came over. And it was something they sort of learned and got better at. And then once the postseason started, I mean, it was like they had a lead after 2. It was almost, turn the lights out. It was over. And they had some scares. Chicago, I think, or not Chicago, the Avs came back from like 4 at that one point to give them a scare. But I think I just chalked that up to the Dallas Stars being the Dallas Stars. It's never without the drama with them. So, but I thought it was good to see that tonight is what I'll say. Really, really good to see Dallas just close out a game against a Chicago team that, of course, did not have a ton of legs, right? In the second game of a back-to-back. So you feel like you have to finish off those sort of moments. And they did. They pick up the 2 points. Now 8-4 on the season. They're third place in the Central, 16 points. Man, Minnesota's had a great start, and so has Winnipeg, who Dallas gets to meet on Saturday. We'll talk about the Jets. We'll preview them on a Friday edition tomorrow, and we'll kick you off into your weekend. But that will do it for a post-game reaction here on Locked On Stars. Dallas takes it 3-1 over Chicago in the return home from the NHL Global Series. You got a couple of more games against the Blackhawks to wrap up the season series, and they'll have one game in November and December to close that out. Just a couple of days before New Year's Eve, we'll close out the season series. So what a night for Dallas. Dominating first 2 periods. Oettinger, brilliant. A lot of guys you could point to that had big nights. Stankoven and Steele. And, of course, Tyler Seguin. The beat goes on for number 91. All righty. Have a wonderful rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow. And we'll talk Stars Jets. That'll be an exciting one. 2 heavyweights going at it in the Central Division. See you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.